now that we understand how to interpret the data generated by this report, what did it actually say? Well, like good economists, the researchers kind of hedged their bets. Predicting the future exactly is a fool's errand. They could have published their paper one day before a design for a commercially viable fusion reactor was developed, and the researchers realised this, so what they did instead is they tweaked the initial conditions and ran the simulation over and over again. In some simulations, they would assume that innovation remains at a constant pace and worker productivity continues to improve at the rate it currently has been. In other simulations, they would assume that technological innovation continues to compound on itself, meaning things like harvesting resources from space or growing food in laboratories becomes possible, and then in other simulations, they would assume that technological progress would slowly plateau. A quick side note is that a technological plateau might not sound very realistic to us today, but that's only because we have grown up in a time of constant innovation. Moore's Law is a great example of this. For the past 5 decades, computing power has roughly doubled every 2 years, but we are starting to reach the physical limits of how many transistors we can pack onto a microchip. Promising technologies like quantum computing may solve this issue and let us continue to gain access to even more computing power, but then again, it may not. And that's just one example. A lot of technological innovation these days is just major companies finding new and innovative ways for you to waste your time consuming advertiser content. And yes, I realise the irony that I am part of the problem here, but here you go, have an ad. What a good little consumer you are. Anyway, technological innovation was just one variable that the researchers of this report tweaked. They also ran models that assumed lower birth rates, higher rates of recycling, more resource discoveries, greater levels of global trade, reduced levels of global trade. They basically tried to account for every outcome that would be possible with a realistic combination of factors in this economic model.